Hey yogis, welcome back to this next demo session on SAP S/4HANA Cloud extensions and integrations, along with embedded analytics in SAP S/4HANA. This demo session, we will discuss about what is SAP S/4HANA Cloud and what does the extension means. This course is designed for the people who are earlier working on ECC as technical or functional consultant, and now you are seeing a change into the dimension of ERP that most of the companies are moving to SAP S/4HANA. In this demo session, we will discuss about SAP S/4HANA offerings, and we will talk about how do you, as an ABAP developer or as a technical consultant, extend the SAP S/4HANA solution. So SAP delivers a standard solution to all of us, and as a partner of SAP, or you may be working as a customer directly at customer site, how would you enhance or extend the SAP S/4HANA solution, which is SAP S/4HANA Cloud to be very precise. We will also look at embedded analytics. That was one topic which many of you have asked me in the past about how embedded analytic works and how can we create embedded analytics. There are three most important topics inside that: the KPI tiles, then we have query browser, and then analysis path framework. So we will be discussing that also as part of this course. The another interesting question which most of you have come back asking, Anubhav, how can we do integrations with SAP S/4HANA? So we have a Java-based application already running, or a .NET-based application already running in our company. Is there any way I can communicate to SAP S/4HANA system in a secure way? And that is called an API Hub, guys. API Hub gives the list of APIs exposed out of SAP S/4HANA, which are whitelisted APIs, and we will explore how to use this API Hub to consume the APIs of S/4HANA to enable the integration. Not that all, we will also build a cloud-native application which can then consume the data and integrates with SAP S/4HANA Cloud to build our side-by-side extensions. In this course, we will also discuss about what is SAP S/4HANA Cloud SDK for developers, how it helps developers to extend SAP S/4HANA solution, and if you're working in a partner company, then how can you also deliver these extensions to your customers. Before we move on, a very big thanks for all your blessings which you guys have constantly giving me, which helps me to create more and more videos like this on my learning university on my channel, Anubhav Roy. It's all because of you guys that I'm able to achieve this much and also continuing to add more value to the ecosystem which we are all part of. So big thanks to all of you making my trainings successful and giving me more and more energies to create more such videos. Now let's move on to our demo session. So first of all, the first question comes in our mind, which was also one question which you're all been asking continuously in my training sessions, Anubhav. What is the difference between on-premise and on-cloud? What is the major difference? Many of the times when there is an implementation being done in our company, we are unable to recognize what exactly an on-prem software and what exactly be an SAP or a cloud software or cloud solution. So how do you make a difference out? Now, to understand this in a very basic way, let's try to go ahead and discuss about how do you go for eating a pizza. So one fine evening, I was very hungry and I was deciding to eat pizza, but there were multiple options available. So what are all those options which you have just in case you're famished and you want to have something to eat? For example, a pizza. In that case, what are all the options you have it? And we will just take that example to understand and deepen our understanding about on-premise and the cloud. So when you talk about eating a pizza, it is more like either implementing a cloud solution or an on-premise solution. So let's discuss first what are all the things which you need to prepare, make, and eat a pizza. You would need a lot of things, guys. You would need the raw material to make the pizza. You would need machinery, the kitchen items to be able to create it. You would need seasonings to decorate it. And finally, you would need plates, fork, and then on top of it, you would like to add some sausages to eat a final pizza. So when you consider all of these things, they are equivalent to a software. So look at here the stack to make a pizza is you need cheese, toppings, tomato sauce, pizza dough. Then on top you need fire, oven and gas. And together with that you would need soda and a dining table to enjoy your pizza. So all of these things, if you are doing at your own, you are making it at home, that is more like an on-premise world. In an on-premise world, you will be the responsible one to manage an entire stack. It's up to you to do everything on your own. You will be making the dough, you will be making the pizza, you will be making sure that you have the right equipment to make the pizza, and that is exactly your on-premise world. In an on-premise software, in the same fashion, the complete set of requirement is on to the subscriber or on to the consumer. So if you're implementing an on-prem software, it's more like creating your pizza at your own home. You would need all the machinery, all the servers, the networking, the internet connectivity, the software, the people who manage that software, everything at your own cost, at your own premise. And that is more like an on-premise delivery. Now moving into the variety of options. So in this stack of making a process of a pizza, you would see there are certain things which you can also outsource. Rather than doing everything on your own, you can outsource certain things. So then we move to the second option, where you go with an option where most of the raw material which is required to make the pizza is you're purchasing from outside. What you're just doing, you are bringing it at home. So you just have to take the ready to eat food out at home, take and bake. So you get all these things purchased, and then finally you just put it in your oven under the fire and just make it. And then of course still you would need the dining table and soda at your home to be able to serve the pizza. Now this option we call it as a infrastructure as a service. An infrastructure as a service option where you have to buy everything from outside, the main infrastructure to make the pizza. However, still you got to make it on your own. You got to take it away and you got to bake it, make it and eat it also on your own. So that is called an infrastructure as a service option. The third option comes is platform as a service. In that, you would go for a pizza delivery. You just make a call to the store and say, hey, I want a pizza, I want this dough, I want a pan pizza or double cheese burst pizza, or that is something you got to order. And then they will have the necessary things like oven, gas, fire, the dough, the tomato sausages, toppings, and cheese, and everything they will be having by themselves. They will be making it and delivering it to you. This option is equivalent to platform as a service option, where they will give you the right platform, everything they will offer you. You got to still build it, still host your applications on your own. And the last and the most preferred option in the industry these days, which is going, is the software as a service option, where you just go for went out for dining. You don't have to have anything at all. You don't have to buy anything at all. There is a very low cost of ownership. You just go in, order the pizza, have it, and come out. You don't have to take care of cleaning, housekeeping, the dining setup, the crockery plates, nothing. You just have to go in, dine in, and come back. So that is more like a software as a service option, where the initial total cost of ownership of having a pizza is very less. You don't have to buy oven, you don't have to buy any of the products, just go have it and come back. And that option is called software as a service equivalent option, where it's completely managed by the vendor. The vendor takes care of entire infrastructure, including the final pizza, the final product which you're taking, consuming it. That is also taken care by vendor. Only just have to do dining, right? So this option is called software as a service, and that's exactly the difference between an on-premise world and a cloud world, guys. Where the more deeper you go into the cloud, more offerings will be done by the vendor, They will be managed by the vendor, and your responsibility will reduce. You don't have to manage too many things to be able to cater to the need of users. You just have to more and more consume towards more about consumption of the software. As a result of this, you will have better innovation cycles, because in this, for example, you purchased an oven and the technology become outdated in maybe 1 year. Now you're getting better ovens with better electricity consumption, and in that case what you would prefer to go is with the new technology. So if you want to upgrade to the technology, it takes a lot of time, because you got to choose the right oven, sell your existing one and buy another one with the latest technology. Again, it becomes obsolete after some period of time. So there, the innovation cycle is also not really big cycles. It takes a lot of time to change the oven, and you cannot adapt to the best practices and industry innovations much faster if you're going with an on-prem world, because you are managing everything on your own. But when on the other side, if you go with a cloud world, innovation consumption is much faster. Just imagine the Pizza Hut offers a new type of pizza, and you can innovate. They innovate for you. You can directly go and consume it immediately. You don't have to upgrade yourself much to be able to consume this new pizza, right? So that's the biggest benefit you get it out of it over here when it comes to software as a service offering. So now if we map the same model to our software world, how does it go? So in the software world, if you really see, guys, we have different variety of things. If you want to actually deliver and consume a very large ERP software, you would also need a similar kind of setup like we have it for pizza. So it's more like making a pizza process, guys. So now if you look at how do we map the whole thing to a software stack, that to begin with, we will have virtualization, we would have servers, storage, and networking, and that is more like your infrastructure to be able to host the application. You would have to buy the physical computers, the hardware, the motherboard, the CPU, the hard disk, the RAM. All this is your physical infrastructure. Connect these physical computers together. So all these things is what you would need, connecting them together, and that becomes your infrastructure as a service. Yeah, that's your infrastructure. So there are companies who are offering this as a service, and you already know these. There are top three players right now in the market: Amazon, then you have Google, and then you have Microsoft. So these are all the companies who are offering infrastructure as a service, where you don't have to worry about it. You want a computer with maybe like 500 gigabytes of RAM and 10,000 gigabytes of hard disk, and a CPU with octa-core processor. That's something you can take it as a service. You don't have to buy really the physical machine. You can consume it as a service. Amazon being the biggest player in this market at this point of time for infrastructure as a service. So you don't have to really spend on hardware, buying those computers and doing those investment, which you being probably taking years to do such an investment, and then getting that set up in your own company. You can buy it as a service on the internet directly. The second part in the software the stack comes up is adding the the middleware part, where you would need now to run a software, you would need the run times. Just to take an example, to run your abap program, you can't run it in a notepad. You would need still the SAP NetWeaver, which is the technical foundation for SAP application, and that becomes your middleware. That becomes, and then you would also need database to store the data, be it like Oracle DB or MongoDB, or for example MaxDB or Sybase DB or a HANA DB. All that becomes part of platform. So you would need operating system, the on top of it database, the middleware installation, and the runtimes like Java runtime environment, or a runtime for Android, or runtime for Node.js. All these kind of runtimes you would need, and that becomes an offering as a platform as a service on top of infrastructure. So first you have your computer. On top of that computer, that hardware, you install the bare minimum software, so, or I would say the runtime to support the programming languages, support the user interface, support networking and everything. So you would be doing that as a platform as a service. So there are vendors in the market, even SAP has it. So we have something called SAP Cloud Platform, which is an offering as a platform as a service, where you can just go create. So the basic idea is to build, plan, build, manage, deploy, and then further on test and consume this cloud native application. So that is an offering by SAP also in the world of platform. SAP Cloud Platform. You might have heard about Google Cloud Platform. So that is also another platform as a service offering where they will give you the prefix databases, what database you need. They will give you, if you need SAP NetWeaver, if you need HANA, they will give you those things and you can start just consuming. I don't have to purchase a very big HANA license for that. There it is available as a platform as a service. There are a lot of other players in the market you might have heard about or not heard about. There is something called Cloud 99. We have one of the biggest player in the market here as Ocean Cloud. Then we have lots of player. We have Cloud Foundry. So a lot of these are the companies who are offering platform as a service where you just have to, if you are a developer, just go in. They will give you the necessary services to develop, like database as a service, like development tool, which is so-called Web IDE here in our case, as a service, and that becomes a platform as a service. And then finally comes is a software as a service where you talk about the actual application which your end user is going to use, and there you have the data, you have the application, and that becomes an application, a service. So this complete stack of the software is more like creating a pizza. So if this entire set of stack you are managing by yourself, you are actually running on an on-premise software. So here you see if it is customer managed, which means if you are managing, your company is managing the complete thing. They are managing the hardware, the infrastructure, and the platform, and then finally the applications. They are taking care of that. Becomes a on-prem software. So-called example would be your ECC system. That's an on-prem software where your company is managing everything. And there's also a new offering by SAP, the innovated ECC. The innovated system is SAP S4 HANA on-prem. We just not call it as an on-prem, we just call SAP S4 HANA. So an SAP S4 HANA system is actually available in two flavors. So one of them is on-prem, and that's what we call it as just SAP S4 HANA. So until you put cloud at the end, you're saying SAP S4 HANA on-prem, or typically your ECC, which was there in the past. There your company is taking care of everything. They need to have IT staff, they need to have basis people, NetWeaver people, BW people to do all this management by themselves, and that's exactly an on-prem software is all about. Moving to the next one, where you will just outsource certain things. So what is that you're outsourcing? You are outsourcing here the infrastructure, which is either SAP managed or the partner managed. And that's where maybe you can have your own Amazon account where you are buying those computers, and in those computers you are installing the SAP software. But still in those computers they will just give you this hardware. You have to take care of installing the operating system in those computers, taking care of installation of databases, middleware, and runtime in those systems, and on top of it installing your ERP solution. So that is a second option, and that's called SAP S4HANA IaaS option. So we call it as SAP S4HANA IaaS, infrastructure as a service option, where customer is going to manage the platform and the application, but the infrastructure is managed by SAP partner or by SAP. The third option, which is also there now based on the kind of setup you do, is you will outsource the platform and infrastructure outside to SAP and its partner, and then only the software part is what you are going to manage. And this is so-called SAP S4HANA private cloud option, where you are making sure that the entire infrastructure you have set up, and this option is called SAP S4HANA private cloud implementation, where you are making sure that your complete infrastructure is a privately owned infrastructure, and that is something managed by SAP and partner, and you are just managing the application part of it. So this is private cloud option for S4. And the last but not the least, the most powerful one amongst all of them, which is the industry trend currently, is complete stack is managed by SAP itself. You don't have to buy any hardware, don't have to take care of any installation, you don't have to hire any single person to manage or to do staffing here, and that's complete solution as a service, which is so-called SAP S4 HANA Cloud. SAP S4 HANA Cloud is a application as a service, platform as a service, and infrastructure as a service completely owned and managed by SAP. So what you do is you just consume the application by connecting to SAP S/4HANA Cloud. You use the software in the cloud. Just open your browser, open SAP Fiori Launchpad. Start creating your sales orders, purchase requisitions, billing documents, all your data entries, whatever you want to do. Just straight away start using it. You don't have to set up anything. You don't have to own anything. Just start consuming it, and that's where we talk about the subscription-based model. Rather than conventional licensing model, we move more towards subscription-based option where you buy a subscription and you can cancel that subscription anytime. Just imagine the days when we used to buy those VCR cassettes to play movies, and you need to own a VCR, you need to also own a cassette or own a cassette to play a movie. Slowly we move into the mode where we were going for renting out these cassettes. You can rent a cassette, bring it in your VCR, plug in, play it, watch it, and give it back. Yeah. Then there were also a time when we also can get a VCR or a DVD player also on the rent. So you can rent the DVD player, you can also rent the DVD, play it, and then watch it, and then give it back. And then finally the option is Netflix or Amazon Prime, where you don't have to own anything. You simply buy a subscription of Netflix. Just start open the subscription in your mobile device or in your computer, laptop, and then just play it, watch it, and then pay per use, right? That's a subscription model, and this is where the entire world is now moving. Most of the solutions which you see now offered and consumed over the internet is all based out of cloud, where this all the infrastructure, platform, and the application is managed by the vendor. You just can open it as soon as fast as you can. You can onboard, you can onboard, and you can start consuming these services. Yeah, so that's the main difference between SAP S/4HANA and SAP S/4HANA Cloud. So now let's move on and discuss what are all the capabilities of a cloud solution. Ideally, when you look at a cloud solution in generic way, in general, what capabilities a cloud solution actually offers? What is the value add a cloud solution offers us? So what does a cloud exactly means? So cloud means standardization. It means standardization. So you are moving more and more to standardized way of consuming the software rather than being in a monolithic architecture where you have to manage everything. Here, rather you managing, you are sharing with others, right? So Netflix subscription or Amazon Prime, you are actually sharing. So you are not actually going customized there, but rather than it's more a standardized offering. You have whatever movies available in Netflix, only those you can watch. You can't customize it much. It's more like a standardization of entire software stack. Then we have fast time to value. So you can go for the implementation much faster as compared to an OP. You don't have to take care of hardware, setup, IT team, configuration. Nothing is required. It's a fast time to value. You can get a productive instance up and running as fast as 4 weeks, right? And you can also apply the upgrades as fast as 2 weeks, yeah, or 1 quarter. If you look at an ERP solution where we used to have upgrade times, which were like earlier in like 1 year, every 1 year you would go with probably a new release, and an upgrade was quarterly. But now you can go with a new release right as fast as a quarter. And that comes to the next point, is faster innovation. So going with fast innovation, you don't have to restrict yourself to not innovate. You can go and access new functionality much faster, consume them much faster, as fast as quarterly. So earlier we used to have these ERP releases on yearly basis, but now with SAP S/4HANA Cloud, you get the quarterly release of S/4HANA. Now the next is you have simplification of consumption. What does it mean? You can start right away from your mobile or your tablet or your any device, anytime, anywhere, on any browser. That's the biggest advantage in terms of user simplification. In S4HANA, the S, it stands for simplification, guys. simplification in all across the software stack, all across the data model, all across the delivery model, and finally from the user point of view you have simplification in terms of consumption. Then it's fully mobilized. It means you can consume the software into the mobile devices now, anytime, wherever you go. And then you have pay per use model. So you will pay as much as you use or as many number of users. Basically, it's a subscription model. So these are all the cloud qualities which you would see in any cloud solution. There are a lot of companies in the market like Workday. If you heard about Workday, we have SuccessFactor, Ariba, Fieldglass, we have Concur, we have Salesforce.com. So all these are actually the cloud solutions. They are solutions for catering to different industries, different market segments and LOBs, where you will all go with subscription model rather than implementing everything in your own company. You go pay per use model. Then you have scalability and elasticity. Basically, your company today is very small. You are just 20 people company. But if you want to grow from 20 to 500, the scaling of the cloud solution also becomes flexible enough. You want to add more memory, you can just inform your cloud vendor to add more memory to your account, and that much memory can also be added. Just like subscriptions, you can extend the subscription, you can have more memory space, you can have more flexibility, better performance. So more sugar you add to it, more sweeter it becomes. So scalability also becomes now very easy option in the cloud. You have lower total cost of ownership. Yeah, PCO we call it as. So you don't have to own any hardware, you don't have to buy those complicated software, you don't have to have set up your own IT team, basis team. And that's why I see also most of the basis people are coming in my training understanding how to build CDS views, how to create AMDPs, how to create BW analytic queries, how to create Fiori apps, because basis people also kind of looking at it as a risk, because the complete management of the basis, the user management and all this thing also going with the vendor now rather than being with you, right? So this is why basis people are also finding it difficult to place themselves in a better job these days. Then moving next, ease of configuration and extension. So you don't have to now wait for this long time pending innovations. The innovation reaches faster to you, and you can also do side effect extensions. Extension means you want to extend the standard delivery. Standard software is giving you some functionality. On top, you want more functionality, which is right now not there. So you want to extend it. So that becomes also easy for you. You'll see it. That is our main goal of current course. We will discuss how that can be achieved nicely with the help of S/4HANA in-app and as well as side app extensions. Then we have productive integration. So your solution is well integratable with other cloud solutions, so data can pretty easily flow between multiple cloud solutions. So SAP is very aggressive in acquiring a lot of these companies like Ariba, you might have heard about, SuccessFactor, Fieldglass, Concur. Recently, they have done Calidus Cloud. So a lot of these cloud companies, SAP being themselves as a cloud company, they are also acquiring a lot of companies, and they have now built-in integration with these clouds within the S/4HANA solution. So you have a very good integration capabilities which you can use. That's exactly a cloud capability in a solution should be. So any cloud software you look at, a cloud offering, you would find all these capabilities and qualities as part of any cloud solution. Now, moving on to what is then the value proposition for SAP S/4HANA? What exactly the main value proposition SAP S/4HANA now offers you? So it's definitely a cloud solution. It will be having all these cloud qualities. But what are all the value proposition SAP S/4HANA provides you? But before we move on, let's understand the difference between S/4HANA and S/4HANA Cloud. So S/4HANA, of course, as I mentioned, it's an on-premise release, but SAP S/4HANA Cloud is a cloud release. So when you look at the difference between S/4HANA and S/4HANA Cloud, this is also another interview question which will be asked to you when you're going for interviews on S/4HANA technical consultant. This is one important interview question which people may be asking. So what is the difference between S/4HANA? Now, guys, S/4HANA is actually, when they're saying S/4HANA, they are actually talking about on-premise. This is also available in on-premise. However, our main goal and focus will be S4HANA Cloud in this course. So we will be talking about SAP S4HANA Cloud, which is a cloud-based solution. All the cloud qualities will be part of it. So here it's like dining a pizza, right? You don't have to own anything. You just have to dine in, eat and come back. Yeah. So consume. You just have to worry about consumption. Rest all will be taken care by the service provider, so-called SAP in this case. Now, what are the major differences between S4HANA on-prem and the S4HANA Cloud? So first of all, let's put all the parameters here based on which we will be making out this difference. So just quickly structure it a little bit. So what are all the parameters we will be comparing it? The first one comes is what is the release cycle. So SAP S4HANA still it's an on-prem edition, guys. The release cycle is yearly. So you'll get the software in yearly basis. So the most recent one was 1809. Yeah, 1809, and you can see this 1809 means it's ninth month 2018. That was the most recent version of SAP S4HANA on-premise edition, which is available in the market. Of course, there are support packs on top of it, which comes quarterly basis. Support packs include all the bug fixes and small enhancement of features, which you get it as part of your support pack. So that's SAP S4HANA 1809, which is ninth month, September 2018, it was released. So the next release will be after, of course, 1 year, which will be 1909 or something, right? So that's a yearly release, guys. That's the frequency by which you get the innovation in SAP S4HANA on-premise. But when it comes to the SAP S4HANA Cloud, the new release is every quarterly. So you get quarterly innovation in SAP S4HANA Cloud. Once again, the names are built by combination of year and month. So the most recent release which was there in the market was 1902. 1902 is February 2019 is when they released it. So then next one will be 1905. After every 3 months, keep adding 3 months, 1908, 1911, then 2002, something of that sort, the release frequency. So if you really see, guys, innovations are reaching to you when you implement SAP S4HANA much faster. So the frequency by which the OP is released is something like this. We are engineers, so we understand the sine waves much better. If you are from same as mine electronics background, this is how we can understand it much faster. So you see here the release is every quarter. Every new release is every quarter, which is much faster pace with which you receive the innovations. However, here it takes a little bit of time, though it's 1 year frequency of release. So that's the major difference, guys, in the release cycle. That's the first parameter to compare. The second one comes is what about the contract? How is that you sign up a contract with SAP? So here it's traditional licensing. So you'll be having traditional licensing, which you will get into. You will have to sign a licensing contract with SAP, or and then of course you have to implement or do in-house development, a lot of it. But here you will go with a subscription-based model. So imagine this is like typically buying a CD and buying a DVD player yourself and watching a movie, and but here you have taken just a Netflix subscription, just pay per use. Now the next parameter on which we can differentiate it is level of configuration. Customizing and configuration, which you can do. This is another question which most of you ask, and about what kind of customizings are possible with S4HANA. So on-premise gives you high level of customizing. It will give you the access of SPRO. It will give you access of SAP GUI. So that is there with you in SAP S4HANA edition, S4HANA on-premise to be very precise. But when it comes to cloud, guys, try to understand this is so important, very important, at least from technical standpoint of view. You will have no access to SAP GUI. It is a more of a standardized delivery. However, you have something called some SSC UI, which is a Fiori based application which allows you to do configurations in the standard software. Suppose I want to change the approval amount for sales order or purchase order delivery. So that is something which I wouldn't want to change. So I can go to SSC UI and do this configuration in SSC UI, which is actually a Fiori application. You have no SAP GUI access. It's more of a standardized delivery. You don't have a very high configuration which you can do. So guys, when you're making a pizza at home, you can configure it as much as you want. You want to add more cheese, you want to add more toppings, more sausages, you can do that. But when you go for dine in, it's something you got to eat what they prepare for you, right? You cannot customize. You can't go to their kitchen and start customizing your pizza on your own. However, there are little options available to choose from the available customizings. You can choose which one you want, but you can't go to their kitchen and cook your own. Yeah, that's something you can't do it. So that's the level of configuration and customizing option which we have with S4 versus S4 Cloud. Then coming to the infrastructure cost, who owns the infrastructure? So in SAP S4 HANA, the infrastructure is owned completely by the customers of SAP. They will own the infrastructure. They have to pay for the infrastructure cost. But here is the service provider. Who is the service provider here? Service provider is SAP. So SAP will own the complete infrastructure for the cloud delivery by themselves. They will take care of infrastructure, platform, as well as software as a service. That is something which is owned by SAP itself. Then coming to the implementation approach. In the implementation approach, you will use traditional implementation approach, yes, but there are some certain guidelines you will have to follow. But in this, it's very highly configurable. Again, very highly configurable. You still have options to implement bodies and all that stuff. So it's very highly configurable. That is something you have it, but here it's not that much configurable. You have more like, again, standard way of implementation. You can't tweak the software much. Yes, there is an option for extensibility, which we will discuss in this course, and that is our main goal, how to go about implementing our custom requirements in this standardized delivery. That is what we'll be looking. So let's look at the last but not the least, custom code. What about extensions? What about my custom enhancements, which is so-called enhancements? In cloud, they are not called enhancement, they are called extensions. So we would just keep it like this. We'll say custom code. What about if I have to address my custom code? So here you still have the old features, the traditional ERP capabilities. You can implement the bodies and exits. Yeah. So that is something you have. Also, you can do extension. That is something which is covered in my ABAP on HANA course. You've already attended that. We can build our own CDS. We can extend the standard CDS views pretty much using ADT, connecting to our S4 HANA on-prem system. All that you can do it. But when it comes to the cloud solution, you don't have access to SAP GUI. You don't have access to ADT right now. So in that case, you have to go with one of the options which I'm writing. Very important. That is our goal for the current course. You can go with in-app extensibility. We will discuss what is in-app extensibility, and we also have an option called side-by-side extensibility. So that is the main difference, guys. I hope you are now clear the difference between on-prem and cloud. There are a lot more other differences, but these are all the top, I would say, top 5 or 6 differences which you must be aware when it comes to SAP S4HANA on-prem and the cloud. I hope your doubts are clear today. What is the major difference between S4HANA and S4HANA cloud? Our main focus in this course will be SAP S4HANA cloud. And again, the main focus is not going to be upgrade as well as installation for that. That is something not our duty. That is something which is managed completely by SAP. They will manage the installation, upgrades, and the hardware. But our main job will be as a developer to do these things. In fact, if you are being into the portal, BI, BO, any of these areas, you will be doing, if your company go for SAP S4HANA Cloud Edition, you will be doing these stuff. As an ABAP developer, this will be your main roles and responsibility going forward in your company if your company is going with S4HANA Cloud. But if you're on-premise, you can keep on working with this stuff. What you've been working on top of it, you will have a little bit of custom code migration And you can also build the Fury apps using OData services, also build your own CDS views, which is all covered in my ABAP on HANA course. So you would have definitely attended my course on ABAP on HANA, or you would have seen that. So if you are more interested in SAP S/4HANA on-prem, then you should definitely go with onlinefurytrainings.com, and the course is available called ABAP on HANA training with S4HANA technical. So that's where we cover the topics of custom code, the brownfield migration and the greenfield migration to S4HANA, and then how to implement your custom code in SAP S4HANA, extend the functionality, extend the CDS, implement your own functionality, and then expose that outside. We built an end-to-end OVP application here in SAP S/4HANA on-premise. So those are the features we have leveraged here. This is the course you should attend. But if your company is on SAP S/4HANA Cloud Edition, in that case, you should go with the current course which we are starting here, which is in-app and side-by extensions. However, there are a couple of cross topics like key user capabilities, like embedded analytics, which is also relevant for people who are working on on-premise. So if you are more interested in those topics, you are most welcome also to join the current course, where we will also discuss some of the overlaps, some of the capabilities of S/4HANA on-prem as well. So that is what we will be doing. So now let's move on and look at specifically what value proposition the SAP S/4HANA Cloud offers mainly to us. So what are all the main value proposition? Why are companies these days opting for SAP S/4HANA Cloud implementation? This is basically the main idea, guys, is to implement the ERP in cloud. There is no even a single company today which has potential to deliver ERP in cloud. All right, not a single company. There may be a lot of good players. You might have heard about salesforce.com. There are some players in market, but not even a single company today in cloud has caliber and potential to deliver entire ERP stack in cloud. It is only and only the SAP which makes it so unique, so important, that you must go for S/4HANA Cloud course, or you must attend S/4HANA Cloud trainings or learnings, because this is the ERP, only ERP in the cloud. It has complete full stack of ERP in the cloud. With a recent acquisitions of SAP surrounded with their cloud strategy, you would also see they are actually going to offer complete ERP solution, which is starting with procurement, finance, marketing, customer relationship management, travel and expense management. Then you have employee onboarding, employee management, HCM, everything into the cloud with the acquisition strategy and the complete cloud solutions which they offer with SAP S/4HANA Cloud. This is going to be the number one company, and already they've started capturing most of the market for the cloud space. So now, what is the value proposition of S/4HANA? The value proposition, the first biggest advantage is to go with the best practice implementation. The whole implementation is based out of best practices. So what is best practice? So SAP went into the market, they've researched, they've looked at all their ERP install base, and looked at how does the customer use their solution. How do they create the sales order? How do they create purchase order? How do they create requisitions? And out of that, they come out with the best practice. This is the best way to create a sales order, manage a sales order, and the solution then they implemented is based out of this best practice and their experiences in terms of in terms of implementing an ERP solution. The whole implementation is based out of best practice. All right, so it's more like a standardized delivery. That's a best practice implementation. Where can you find these best practice documentation? So for that, you have to come to something called SAP Best Practice Explorer. I will share this link as usual, guys, in our training blog, and you can go to something called SAP S/4HANA here. And now you can see there are offerings in terms of S/4HANA. So what you're looking, I'm looking for SAP S/4HANA Cloud. Just expand, go to the cloud, and I'll see best SAP best practices for SAP S/4HANA Cloud. So just go inside, and now here you will find the details about the best practices. So you can see here for finance, what is the best practice to do advanced accounting and financial close. For sales, what is the best practice to do order to cash. what is the best practice for procure to pay. So all these things, all the business processes which you actually use SAP, which you buy SAP for, the business buy SAP for business processes, they're all best practice business processes, you can see. And these are also known as scope items. So you might have heard about this term called scope items. Scope item is nothing but this individual business process, which is a best practice business process to do procure to pay, order to cash, sell from stock. All these are industry best practices for achieving the desired business process end to end using SAP best practice implementation in SAP S/4HANA Cloud. And they are also known to be scope item, and all collection of these scope item becomes the solution scope. So the complete implementation is based out of best practice. We'll discuss more in next class when we'll talk about what are all the implementation phases which we have in S/4HANA. Typically, when your company is implementing, at least every one of us, technical as well as non-technical audience, those who are working on S/4HANA, we need to understand the big picture, the broad picture, how the implementation takes place. The whole implementation takes place based out of SAP Activate framework, which is a best practice implementation framework by SAP. We will discuss that in our next session. Then the next value proposition is UX. User experience is amazing. You can access the SAP S/4HANA solution from anytime. 24 by 7 availability. It has that cloud quality, anywhere, on any device. That is the biggest advantage which it is offers. The UX strategy, the lower TCO. As we saw in cloud, when you go with a cloud solution, you don't have to buy those complex hardwares and platforms and have an IT team dedicatedly managing it. So you will reduce the lower, you lowers the total cost of ownership for the solution. Then you have end-to-end content lifecycle, end-to-end content lifecycle, which basically all the best practice solution scopes, you can manage them end to end. There will be a life cycle for them. You have guided configuration. So if you want to tweak the software a little bit, you have that guided configuration, so-called SAC We just discussed about it. I will give you a brief introduction of implementation strategy and guided configuration. Our main focus will be more towards development and functional advancement, enhancements of a standard solution. But yet, as part of this course, I will be taking you through the implementation strategy and what is so-called best practice, where can you find this best practice documentation, what are all the stages during the implementation. So you will know where is your role as a developer or as a UX strategist will fit in into S/4HANA. We need to understand the big picture, and then we see our role. Where do we fit into entire S/4HANA strategy, implementation strategy? So that is the reason we, in the next session, we'll discuss about the implementation strategy as well as the SAP best practice guided framework for implementation, so-called SAP Activate. Then we have quarterly release, 4 quarterly releases in 1 year. So within 1 year, you have quarterly releases. You can receive the innovations now much faster. You don't have to wait for 1 year for getting the new solution available. Then you have the most important value proposition now SAP S/4HANA also providing is its intelligence. You might have heard about the word called intelligent core. Intelligent core means it is intelligent enough now to take care of repetitive tasks. So suppose in a company there is a task which is more like repetitive. So in that case, you don't want to invest more and more time or invest your workforce time into those repetitive tasks. You want to automate those tasks, or you want to give users some suggestions. So automation and intelligence is the key. And that's where the SAP S/4HANA also offers inbuilt machine learning scenarios are part of SAP S/4HANA delivery. There are about 33 intelligent ML use case as of 1809. Okay, there are about 33 machine learning use case inbuilt inside this. That's why we call it as a intelligent solution. It's not, or intelligent core. S4HANA is called as intelligent core. Now we also have integration via API. So you have a data of success factor coming or going through SAP S4HANA solution, or you have Concur data coming and storing in for travel and expense. Account posting is happening into SAP S4HANA. So all this integration is possible via API. That is also part of our course. API hub we will be looking at, and how to extend SAP S4HANA solution with available APIs to do integrations, as well as implementing side-by-side extensions. So there are about 1842 APIs currently available, whitelisted APIs. We'll look at them in the API hub. Sorry, I would say API operations, not APIs. Okay. Now, then we have scope items. As I said, the most important of it is a standardized scope item for business process. So there are about, so initial version was having 98 scope items when it was delivered S4HANA Cloud, starting 15/11, I guess. That was the time. And now there are about 360 scope items available in S4HANA for business processes. They support 20 languages in the solution for about 29 countries. So initially we used to support 14 countries, and now with the S4HANA 1808 release, there are about 29 countries specific localization supported. So guys, what is localization means? So every company have different businesses in different countries. So even the same business in different countries, but they need to comply to the country specific norms and regulations. For example, in India, we have GST, right? Goods and service tax. However, in America, we have a different tax mechanism. In Dubai, we have altogether a different tax mechanism. So now, how can you have one solution which adapt itself automatically as per the country in which you are using the solution? It has to cater to the government regulations, which are different in different countries. So there are certain business processes which differs as per the country. You go to US, there are more regulations than maybe starting a procure to pay maybe. So there are more regulation you need to comply for legal purpose than you do it in maybe Brazil, right? So in that case, your solution should be designed in such a way that it can support these country-specific business processes and the changes in the business processes specific to country in which you are working. So in Germany, we have GDPR, right? A very important personal data privacy and protection law. So you need to comply to those regulations, guys. So important for you. So then you need to make sure that your scope items which you have, the best practice scope item, also comply to this country-specific localization support. And that's where we have 29 countries are supported with SAP S4HANA Cloud. So that's the main value proposition. So you see, guys, complete ERP in the cloud. No other company other than SAP have that caliber to do. And this is why it gives me the motivation to learn SAP S4HANA. To be very honest, this is my motivation, because no other company can even come close to SAP, because they are the market leader already in the ERP software. और अगर वो implement नहीं करेंगे तो कौन करेगा? So that's the main reason and motivation for myself also to be part and learn the SAP S4HANA Cloud. All right. So now comes to the development part, how to extend the ERP solution. So what are all the challenges which we have, and how to extend the ERP solution into SAP S4HANA Cloud. Okay, guys. So now let's look at the extension part. So traditional approach for extension, what was it? And what was the disadvantage of this approach? Extension, I mean here, is enhancement for you. In the general language, you can see it as an extension, as a enhancements which you used to implement a traditional ERP system. So you working as an ABAP developer, there is some change needed as part of standard SAP solution. What was the process we used to follow? So in the past, the extension used to follow below process. So for everything we used to have process. The process for doing extension or enhancement in an SAP system is, the very first step we used to, the functional team used to analyze the system and find the gaps, right? So you have to first find the gaps. Where is the gap? The functionality is not there in standard. That is the first step which we used to do. The functional team has to come back with the requirement and the gap analysis about what is that gap which is not there, or what is that feature which is not there in standard. Now that comes to you, being a partner company, or being a customer, directly SAP customer, and then there's a development team which you are part of. Yeah, the requirement comes to you. Then there is a change request which is created. This change request will be reviewed by the board. So there is a review process for the change request. It will go to your board or CIO of the company. They will review and approve this. And once this request is approved, there is a change order which is being released by, let's say, CIO of the company. And this change order will be actually doing the what is that it does? It creates a stuffing and commencement of project. Now, once the stuffing is being done, you being part of the project, you being hired, the system is being set up. So you will have a system, of course, you will have your development landscape, then a quality system is being set up, then at the same time, your P system is of course there. At the same time, these systems at times may not have the right data. So you would also have sandbox created. So you have a development sandbox and quality sandbox also. In the sandbox system, first you try out things, try out the gap analysis. You don't even do it in your main dev system, and then you make your customer happy, and then you start actual changes in the main dev system, and then from there you queue system, and then finally the P system. A lot of testing is involved. Then finally you will have to, after doing all this, you have to release the change. You have to do the testing in sandbox first, and then actual client, test client, and then you have to finally follow the release process to release the change. And finally it releases to the production system, and that's how the change is being addressed. Clear? That is the process. Now let's look at the disadvantage, the cons of this process. What are the cons of this process? Yeah, so definitely those who have implementation experience, you will be definitely thinking about the cons, and yes, your mind is thinking in the right direction. The first con is downtime. So there will be a downtime window which will be there when this patch or when this change is getting applied to P system. So there will be a downtime of your P system. Definitely that's something, a weekend or something, which we do a downtime and then we apply this patch. But there is definitely certain downtime in the system because of this change. Then there is a risks on upgrade. Because you change the standard delivery, there was a standard piece of SAP solution. In that you injected some kind of change, you introduced your own change. For example, you made a DDIC change. Yeah, so you made a DDIC change means you have enhanced a standard database table with some property, your own property. All right, now what happens when an upgrade happens? When SAP applies an upgrade on your system, at that time what will happen is there is a possibility, that upgrade will fail. You might have observed it, guys, in some critical implementation projects, that because of your body implementation or because of your DD append include, there is an SAP upgrade which has failed. And then you have to go back and adapt your code or adapt your change to make sure that the SAP upgrade works fine, right? So that was the biggest risk of this kind of extension which you do in standard ERP software. There is a risk on the upgrade of SAP system because of your change. There is a contamination of stable core. So stable core, I'm saying the ECC system, the stable core. If you did a contamination, it may affect some other system also which is integrated to ECC. Because of your change, maybe somewhere something is dumping. That is also a bigger challenge, and then it takes a lot of time to you guys to explore, debug, find out kis change ne kahan effect kiya, because the scale of the system is so high, so big, that your system's stability at times is compromised. Yeah. This was also another risk and the con of the traditional implementation approach. Then you have also the gridlock. You need to apply the grid locks to prevent the EHP enhancement pack implementation failures. You have to take your change out, apply the upgrade and take your change back to the system. So that was a lot of effort on the basis team to also do such things. Then you have high size of release cycle. There were long release cycles. This process itself used to take long time. The approval process, a lot of discussion used to happen around, a lot of meetings, even to do small change. There are lots of meetings and discussions, and then this such kind of innovation or such kind of changes which you have to bring in, the cycle is pretty long. It takes about, like, at times I've seen companies even takes months and months to bring a small change to the P system. Yeah. Long release cycle, so end users are waiting and waiting, and maybe by the time that change reaches, the need of that change is not there, because by the time that is part of standard now, SAP delivered that feature as part of standard itself. So why there's a need of change, right? So all these were the cons of the traditional extension approaches in the ERP system, and then as the end of that, the user stays confused and unhappy, that मैं कहाँ जाऊं. Now guys, so what is today's need? Okay, what is today's need? So extension, I mean here the enhancement. Let's say you want to add a body to extend a standard software, you want to add a custom field, you want to add a custom logic. So all these are called extensions. All right, all these are the changes in the standard software. These are all called extensions. Now coming next, let's look at what is that today's need. What is that you need today actually to make sure that we will take away this disadvantage and make our user finally happy. What is that today's need? Okay, what is that you expect then out of this learning which we had? What is today's need in this fast changing world? What is today's need? People can't wait, guys. People need fast value to time. So we need an agile way of implementing the extension. So we need faster and agile innovation. Innovation, I mean fast change. The changes should reach to our end user much faster speed as compared to the last time. Purana time chala gaya. Users don't accept now. It's not acceptable that you bring a change in 2 months and by the time new EHP, that feature is by default there in standard, right? Now, and all your work goes for a waste. So you wasted a lot of companies' productivity and money. Now, decoupling is also required of your changes from stable core. That is also another requirement which you need to look at, because if you decouple your changes from a standard, there is a less risk on the standard upgrade. Your upgrade may not fail, right? It will not fail. So the system stability is there. We have now, we should be able to also scale up and down independent of core. So today's guys, let's say you want to build a mobile app which takes data from S4 HANA, and that mobile app will be given to users of your user. So who is your end user? Who is your customer? Customer is, let's say you are a partner company like Deloitte, and you are implementing something in S4, and you have got a request from your customer that they want to give a mobile app to their field workers to do certain things, and their field workers are deployed in as a workforce. There are millions of field workers of that company working. Now to these millions of users, when you want to cater to the need for with a mobile app, these millions of hits are coming to your application. You need to scale up this app extension, or you need to scale up this mobile app to a very large, handle very large traffic. And if you go with SAP system, and S4 HANA system is with let's say some limited scalability. If you want to scale that up right now, then you have to give SAP lots of money to scale up, right? But rather than, you don't want to do that, you want to build a mobile app which can be used by field workers, and it can be scaled independently from S4, yet it remain integrated. Okay, yet remain integrated. That's more important. Yet remain integrated, is still getting the data from SAP S4 HANA solution, but you want to scale up independently this mobile app. for catering to the need of your company. And you, for this single app, you cannot go for SAP and say, hey, scale up my S4 HANA system because I want this app. You can't do that, right? Still at the same time, it's a custom requirement, custom app which you need. You have to also build it on your own and scale it independently, independent of the core remaining integrated. Now you should be able to innovate, adapt, intelligence, so-called ML, automation, and IoT capabilities, like getting data from sensors. So these kind of features also you would want to integrate in your Fiori application, and that is possible now with SAP Leonardo machine learning platform, which also allows you to integrate machine learning algorithms built in SAP Leonardo platform and consume them right away from the SAP cloud platform. So that is also an important factor which you need to consider as part of your custom application. You want that, and that is going to be my next course, guys, on machine learning and Leonardo platform. So watch out my website for the announcement for the next course, and we'll be doing that soon, somewhere around August we will be starting, so you can also enroll for the same. So able to adapt the intelligence and machine learning and automation and IoT also is a need today for your custom application. There will be a Fiori user experience you would need. There will be analytics you would need. There will be pre-built integrations you would need. You want to integrate with multiple cloud solutions, your custom application. You would need mobile services to manage native mobile developments. Like you want to integrate with mobile camera, barcode scanner. You need translation services. You need currency conversion services and unit conversions. All these is what you need in your solution. You need big data. All these features you would need in your application, isn't that? Maybe not all, maybe some of them. Maybe you may now able to imagine that what is that something your company is asking you. So maybe some of these features or most of these features you would want to use independent from the current solution which SAP gave, and you want to scale it and buy these services whichever you need independently out of the licensing, out of the subscription cost of S4 HANA based on your need. So what is the solution then you have? So you want to make sure that you extend the solution on top. You want to build your own custom apps which are integrated with S4HANA and other SAP cloud solutions. What is that you have today? And that's where the concept of SAP extensibility comes into picture. We will be using, there are two extension options in S4HANA to be able to create or extend standard delivery of the software based on the need. And now let's discuss quickly these extension approaches by, and once again, these are by roles. It's not like you can extend it, even an end user can extend something, because end users are non-technical users. They don't have programming knowledge on ABAP, Java, Node.js. They don't have that. They don't know UI5, Fiori, Gateway, OData, CDS. They don't know. They are non-technical users. However, functional consultants, which are there in company, who are there to find out these functional gaps, they are also not good technically, right? At the same time, you as a developer is somebody who was hired by the company as S4HANA technical consultant, will be responsible to do these extensions, and you will be playing so important role in that company where there is an S4HANA cloud implementation happening. And that's where we'll discuss who does what is that an end user can do, what is that a functional consultant can do, which is functionally very good, and what is that you as a developer can do. Yeah. So this is where we have three different roles. As part of an S4 HANA project, you have these three different roles, these three different kind of peoples who are there in the project. They will be doing certain things. So let's discuss quickly one by one, and based on this only our implementation or extension strategy will be built. So I'm just quickly going to change it here. So first one starts with the end user. What is that end users can do? We'll also discuss this more in detail, guys, in our upcoming chapter. So don't worry about it. We'll discuss a lot more about it in our upcoming chapter, where we'll talk about the whole course is actually all about extensions. Okay, this whole course is about extending standard solutions. What is it that end user can do or want to do? Probably the end user would like to change columns of the table. They want to change color themes. Okay, they want to make their application look like in black color or blue color or dark color or light dark color, light gray color. They want to change the color themes. They want to change personalization options, the app look and feel. They want to move some tiles on SAP Fiori Launchpad. Up and down, they want to move it. So this is the kind of capabilities which an end user wish to do. They want to basically do the changes which only affects the current user. Changes which affects only the current user. For example, guys, when you change the theme in the Gmail, you have a Gmail account, you can change the theme. So Christmas theme, you can apply variety of themes on your Gmail account. Does that change in your theme in the Gmail changes the theme for everybody? Does it also change the theme for your friends? Of course not, right? So that's only a change which pertains to only your current user. So end user would want to change the color scheme, end user would want to move the tiles, they want to customize the way their launchpad is looks, and this is what something they want to do. So all these things comes under end user's capability. We will be looking into it. How does an end user can do? So your role is not just technical, but also as a guide to the people who are using S4, how to enable those teams, how to enable those people to make the system understand, to be able to do small changes in the system and understand the impact of that change. Will it impact everybody in the system? Will it impact only that person in the system, or will it impact the whole company? So that is something which you as a technical consultant understand this in very deep, and that will also be doing as part of this course. How and what changes will impact each one of the person. We'll be actually experiencing them in the system. Okay, so I have an S4 on a system. We will be experiencing it in the system, how to do these things in the system and achieve it. Then comes next is the key user. Who is a key user? A key user is a person in the company who is responsible for functional changes, some minor functional changes without much of technical knowledge. So this is a non-technical user catering to needs of business and changing or applying the change which affects your line of business or your company. So these changes will be applied system wide, and this what kind of these changes are then? What all these changes? Suppose these are very minor changes and doesn't need to have so much of technical knowledge. What kind of these changes are? Like adding a small custom field. You want to add a custom field. You want to add a new form. You want to add custom logic, small custom logic. You want to add a small abap custom logic. Yeah, you want to probably add some more analytics tab to show some more analytics to the end user. You want to add or change business logic. So all these things are actually part of key user capabilities. There is a dedicated role required to achieve this. Not end users get this access. This is a special user who knows little bit of technicalities and functionality very well and understand the need of the user. How do you understand the need of user? There's something called best practice fit to standard workshop which gets conducted. We will discuss that in our next class, how the implementation happens of S4 HANA Cloud and what are the different activities, different roles and different people will be doing in the company. Right now, just understand that this is a specialized user with a special role assigned. The role which is used to apply or achieve this key user capability is called SAP BCR. So the role name I'm writing it here. That role must be assigned to your user to be able to do this key user extension. The role name is SAP BCR Core EXT for on-premise system. For cloud system. For on-premise, there's a different role. We'll discuss it when we'll go to the detailed chapter for these key user extensions. So these all changes are so-called in-app extensions. Okay. So all these changes are called in-app extensions. Why? Because they are done within S4 HANA system directly. They are called in-app extensions because they are done inside the S4 HANA system itself, as part of S4 HANA system, side effect free. And the role which is assigned to your user should be this role. I'll show you how to do user management also in this course in SAP S4HANA Cloud. So if your basis consultant is unaware of how to create role, assign roles, create users, assign roles to the users, catalogs, groups, how to enable tiles, best practice, understanding the best practice, all this is covered as part of this course. We will discuss that. Complete user management also be covered in this course. So you can also play as an important administrator of S4 system in your company. Okay, so this is the role required. How do you assign this role? How do you check this role? All these things we'll discuss in detail in our course in detail. So I'm just giving you a kind of a demo and a snapshot is what is that which we will be learning throughout this course. The last and the most important part is now the developer role. So you are a developer, typically earlier working as an ABAP developer, and now this, since as S4 HANA implementation is being taken care, this is something they are expecting you to do. So you were earlier doing those ABAP enhancement using body or using user exits. Where will you fit now when your company implement S4 HANA? So guys, understand one thing: if you become irrelevant in your company will fire you for sure. You will not find yourself any place where you can fit yourself, and this is what is the worry today. Most of the SAP people who are working either in Portal, BW, they are coming to me and saying, Anubhav, I am not finding a better position these days. I was working in workflow, I was working on BW, I was working on BO, I was working in Portal, and now things are changing so fast that I am not finding a good project, and I'm afraid that my manager is telling me either to learn S4 or Fury or UI5 or ABAP on HANA, or you are kicked out of the project, right? So that's very unfortunate, but at the same time, it also an opportunity for us to learn faster, grow faster, and place ourselves in a very strategic position into the company so we can have a very long-term career ahead of us. So what is that developer is supposed to do? So developers are now responsible to extend the solution as for a standard solution and build an app outside the system, yet integrated. So here is the integration comes. Here is the side by side extension. This is called side by side extensibility. Where do you do that? Which is your environment, development environment where you do this? You will be doing this in SAP Cloud Platform is the place where we will be doing side by side extensibility. That is going to be our environment where we will be designing, we will be creating, developing, managing, and deploying our application. There is also a cloud, there is something called cloud portal services in SAP Cloud Platform, where you can have these side-by-side extended applications deployed. They remain integrated because we have integration via APIs to S4 HANA system. So that is something a developer has to do. Suppose your company has a need to build, like in earlier you used to build Z transactions. But in S4 HANA Cloud, you don't have SAP GUI access anymore. So SAP GUI is bye-bye. There's bye-bye to SAP GUI, there's bye-bye to those dialog programs. Now you have user experience as only and only as Fiori. So we will be using SAP Fiori, and we will be building a side-by-side extension, custom application in our course, which is going to draw the data, communicate with our S4 HANA Cloud solution. That will be our goal, guys. And that's your developer's job, the new role in your new developer role. This is what you're supposed to do. This is what you're supposed to work. So what is that you will be doing? You will be adding new Fiori application. This is so-called a custom app. You will be also allowed to change the complex business logic in S/4HANA system using ABAP program. Then you will also be able to add new functionality decoupled from the stable core using SAP Cloud Platform. You will be the one who will be using SAP S/4HANA Cloud SDK to build custom extensions. Okay, these are all the roles and responsibility which a developer will be having now in our in as part of S/4HANA Cloud project, and that will be our also main goal. So we will be learning all three of them as part of the course. Hope you understood the roles, what role is capable of doing what as part of a developer development consultant or development architect or a UX lead. You will become eligible for all three roles after completing this training. You will be able to do all three things and also able to guide and become a central point of contact, technical contact for your entire S/4HANA Cloud team. And this is something which is a very critical role every company is looking for, which are implementing S/4. So if you gain this knowledge as part of this course, you will find yourself in a very strategic position, and then all the benefits, the promotions, the salary appraisals and everything will naturally come to you on your way if you gain this knowledge and act as a main lead for your S/4HANA Cloud project. So that's all about which we will be looking into this course. This is our main course is all about. Hope you understood the roles and what we need to do. So now as part of our demo quickly in the system, I would like to show you how to extend a standard solution. So we will be going and just showing you, I'll show you quickly as a demo. As you see, this is just a demo session. I'll show you how to do this custom field enhancement, adding a custom field to your SAP S/4HANA Cloud. So we have an S/4HANA Cloud system. Let me log in here. There is already a pre-built user created. It's called S4H extension user. And just connect to this user. I will explain you guys in our next session how to set up this server yourself, how to create a user, how to create a system, deploy the system, making it up and running, required configuration to run the system. All of this we will be covering. There is also a guide which will be available for us here in the system to see what users are available for extensibility. So we will be using all of that and extending our application using that. And we'll be learning the key user extensibility, the end user extensibility, as well as we will also be working in a developer role to do the final extension.
Anubhav?
Yes, please.
Are we going through any transaction lab with the draft functionality or VOBF integration in this course?
No, that is something which is covered as part of my ABAP on HANA training. So that is something you have to refer to my ABAP on HANA training. That's what is covered there.
Okay, so you mentioned the course content, right? Theory programming model.
Sorry?
Like ABAP programming model for SAP Theory. That will be covered. ABAP programming model for SAP Theory.
That is covered already.
You mentioned, right? SAP Theory.
Yes, I agree with you. But that is something which is already covered as part of ABAP on HANA training. Here it is covered already.
Okay.
Okay, so those who have attended this course, they will be aware of it, that in this course we'll cover about CDS, then you will cover about creating OData services out of CDS views, annotation concept, analytical queries. All of that is covered in this course. BOPF integration, hierarchy CDS, they are all covered in this course. That's the course you should go with if you're looking for Fury UX development on ABAP. All right. Okay, so in this course, most of the time we'll be covering about these key user extensions and then also building a application in SAP Cloud Platform, which can draw the data, integrate with SAP S/4HANA Cloud. That's what we will be building in this course. Okay, let's come back. So now you can see here, this is my login. I've logged into this SAP S/4HANA Cloud solution, and how to set up the solution, how to use the system, how to do these practice exercises, which we'll do yourself. We will be covering it in our next chapter, where I will show you setting up this whole S/4HANA system yourself step by step, line by line, and then you will be able to log into the system from your local machine, and we'll be able to do all these things which I'm demonstrating. All right, let's go back. So I will go to one of the materials management applications. So let me just go here to product master. So there's this materials management like MM01 what you used to have in past. We have now this manage product master data application as part of our SAP system. So I'll go inside this app, and suppose there is a need to add a custom field now to this application. Okay, so your business comes with the requirement, hey, there is this standard SAP app which is delivered by SAP in S4HANA Cloud, and we want to add a custom field to store the data. Maybe let's say two fields I want to add. One is, let's say, risk management flag I want to add, that this material is a risky material, it's a radioactive material, and I want to store that. And there is also, I want to store a field about material classification, or let's say material material type which is specific to my company, and that is the feature which is not there in standard. So I want to add two custom fields. Typically in a traditional ERP system you used to use append include for that, right? We used to use append include to extend the structure, append structure, the Mara structure, the Mara table we used to extend, and then we have to write all the body implementation enhancement points to feed in the data to this custom field which you introduced. But here it's much easier. As a key user tool, a key user capability, you can actually achieve that nicely. So I go to the system, and now I want to add that custom field as part of this detail screen for material. This is, by the way, a Fiori application which is pre-delivered by part of S4HANA. Where can you find all the delivered Fiori application in S4HANA? What should be a strategy to decide whether to go with a custom implementation or to extend it? We will all discuss this as fit to standard workshop, which you can conduct in your company to able to guide people, to able to give a direction to your manager and others. How should you go about extending, or what is the decision making exercise or workshop you should conduct to make sure whether it is a part of an in-app extension, or is it going to be part of a side-by-side extension. So that proposal, how to make it, how to do all this, conduct these meetings, and all these things we'll be discussing in our course during the course of time. Okay, I come to the screen, and now I don't see that risk management field here. All right, and I also don't see a field called material classification field right now, which I would need it for my own company. Yeah, so you have some standard objects, standard fields, but you don't have that fields which you wanted. So in that case, would you go? How do you extend this solution? Because you don't have access to SAP, you don't know the structures, you don't know where to do what extension. You got to still do it. To do that, we you go with the key user tool. So we click on this button here, and this is called me area. We will have a detailed discussion about what is me area all about, what these options are all about. Don't worry, these are all part of our course. We'll just go to this option called adapt UI, and now here in this adapt UI option, we will go ahead and start extending it. So we will have to now go ahead and use this option for adapt UI, where we can now implement the in-app extensions. This is called in-app extension, guys. In-app extension means an extension which is done within the app, within the S4HANA solution is done. But here the system is designed in such a way, SAP has designed the system in beautiful way, that if you're doing in-app extension, they are upgrade agnostic. What do we mean by upgrade agnostic? Upgrade agnostic means when an upgrade happens to the system, your in-app extensions are respected by SAP. SAP makes sure that your in-app extensions are respected. They are not destroyed. Okay, they are not destroyed. That is what SAP makes sure. Okay, SAP makes sure that your in-app extensions are respected when an upgrade happens to the system. This is so important, you need to understand. So now we can do these in-app extensions right away here. So now you see the app is open, and you see this nice button on the top called UI adaptation, and there are a couple of more buttons which has come up on the top. Yeah, so now imagine this is your queue system where you want to do this adaptation. Basically what happens in S4 Cloud, you don't have any dev system. You have a starter system to begin with. When you're starting implementation, the first you get a starter system access where you can experience the solution, and then you get directly a queue system. Dev system is with SAP. You remember, this is the responsibility of the cloud provider to give the developments and necessary infrastructure. You just have a queue and P system, and you don't have a control on upgrades. What happens when upgrade is applied? It is forced upgrade. You don't have a control to say, hey, stop, I don't want to upgrade. However, in on-premise, you have a choice whether you want to upgrade or not upgrade. But in cloud, you don't have that choice. The provider is going to do the upgrade because it's an upgrade which is done one shot for all the tenants. All right, so it's based on tenants now. Now coming here, I want to add a risk management field. So pretty easy, and a checkbox I want to add for risk management, risky material, and I want to also add a material classification field. So maybe I want to show you that. So I right click and say create a group, and you see a group is created. I'll just drag this group and drop it here. You can also adjust these elements wherever you want to move them. And I just tell it as my custom fields. So let me change the name. I move it on the top. Oops. Let me just do redo. Try to add it again. Right click. Let me just right click here. Create a new group. Custom fields. Press enter. And now within this new group which we created, we will be adding our own fields. What is happening? Something is wrong with the system. Yeah, it's added. And now you can right click on the group, select the group. Maybe it's not allowing me, guys. Not sure, something is wrong. Can do just undo. And anytime you can do this in-app extension, you have also a possibility to reset back to the original. That is something you can also do it. Okay, maybe I just try to add it here in this existing group, right click, and I'll say add a field. Choose add field. And I see the available set of fields which are there in the OData service are coming up here, which are already there, the standard fields. But I don't want to go with standard. I want to build my own fields, my custom field. Click on plus button, and it from here it navigates you to the other application. The application name is create manage custom fields application. It's again a Fury app. Remember guys, we don't have an SAP GUI access in S/4HANA Cloud. It's all managed via Fury user experience. Now it comes here, and I'm just going to click on plus button, and I would just give label for my field. It's is high risk. That's a field I'm adding. The tooltip, and now I will choose here the type of the field. So is it a checkbox? Yes, it's a checkbox, and I'll say then publish. So if you just do a create, it will not be appearing in the app, but you have to do a publish also. So I just say create and publish, and this would now create a new field, is high risk. You can see it's been created. Now you see it's publishing right now, so let it publish, no problem. In the meantime, I will add another field called material group. So guys, what is happening behind the scene? So an SAP S/4HANA system behind the scene is also an ABAP box. So there is an ABAP system, and this ABAP system internally have something called a structure here for this product master. Inside this structure, you have all the fields. So what system is doing when it is publishing, it's actually adding an append include. So there's an append include, and this append include, it's adding this field. And then this append include is included in standard structure. And then it's behind the scene activating this structure. It's activating this table or the structure which has the custom field introduced. So that's why this activation may take time. So the publish means activated also. The structure needs to be activated. All right, that's what system is doing. So now next is material group, and this is going to be a text field I want. And what is the length I want? I want it like maybe 12 characters, and say create and publish. So now it is also creating the second field. So you see publishing is currently locked. Yes, the reason being we are already activating, its system is already activating the high risk wala field. So it's publishing. Okay, so once it activates the structure, the next field also I can publish. Okay, so you have to publish like that. So it's first activating for this new field which you introduced. Now, once it's published, the structure is activated behind the scene. The append include added that new field to the data structure which is there in the ABAP system for this S4HANA box. The system will enable this field for us in the transaction. So here, when we come back here, you would see that new field will be also available for us to be added. Okay, so let's let it publish. It may take a little bit of time because my system is not having that much of memory. So now what we will do is we will just go ahead and add this field, try to add this field. So you see it's still publishing. It may take a little bit of time depending on the scale of the system, depending on the kind of. Just give me a second. Let me complete this. We will take up all your questions towards the end. Now I go back to the app and now I will just go to my group, or I can right click here and I say add field. And I'll say due to configuration change on the server, client and server is out of sync. We strongly recommend to reload the page as soon as page loads now. No problem. I would say yes, please reload my page. That is, system is very smart to take a decision. So now if you go back and check, you can see the field is published. Awesome. So it's now available. The structure also got activated behind the scenes. And wherever that structure is referenced, all those data dictionary objects are also activated in S4 system. Now, so that's something you can imagine happening at the SAP end, because SAP is the service provider here. If I go to the product now, and I would like to now add this new field, so right click and say add field. Okay, it says you want to reload. I say no. I think it has to, yeah. And now let's find out that field which we have created is risk. And you can see is high risk field is now custom field is available here for me to be part of now our system. Click on OK. And voila, you see it has come as a checkbox because you remember we've created the field as a checkbox. Now, similarly, guys, for trial purpose, I have also added the field risk area, field mitigation area, these fields also yesterday, which are also already published. Maybe I'll just try to add these fields also on the system now, just to show you. I will say add field and I'll say risk area. You see all these are custom fields. And I'll say risk mitigation, or maybe risk reason and mitigation, both I want to add. Click on OK. And you would see both the fields are now also part of it. You can also select multiple fields and right click and you can say combine. So that way system will also combine these fields together. That's another option we have it. So it will combine both the fields together, you see. Now it is combined to just give a better look and feel in the layout. So once you're done with your changes, you can also move the blocks up and down. There are a lot of changes you can do actually. We'll explore them more in detail in our course. And now once you're done with the change, you can click on publish button. So what a publish button does behind the scene, it creates a transport. Of course, you got to choose the transport request. Right now, I'm saving it in a local object because I don't have a productive instance with the proper transport mechanism configured behind the scene. That's why I'm going with a local object. So, but if you have a transport, it will give you option to select the transport and lock it in a transport, and from there, the same change will reach to your P system, S4HANA P system, and that this enhancement will be available as part of P system. So it's so easy for even in a non-technical user in a way to add new custom fields as part of your S4HANA solution, which is offered into the cloud. Remember again, there is no SAP GUI access. You don't have to touch your DDICs and append includes and stuff like that. It's all completely managed by Fiori user experience. Answering to one more question here in the chat window, Anubhav, where is that SSC UI configuration, the SPRO equivalent stuff which you were talking about? So for that, let me see if my current user has the role assigned. Then we will be able to see this this application which is so-called managed cloud solution. Let me just check if we do have. For that also you need to have a configurator role assigned to your user. If you have that role assigned, then only you will be able to see that application so that you can do the configuration. I think I don't have the role assigned right now, so maybe I cannot show you, but in the next class when we will talk about user maintenance and the roles, I will show you how to assign the roles to the users, how to do all the basis work also as part of this course in S/4HANA Cloud. So you'll get the fair idea about doing things. Okay. So with that, thank you so much once again, guys, taking your time today for this demo session and being part of it. Please do let me know your thoughts and suggestions. How did you like about today's session? And you can definitely subscribe to my course right from my website. Just go to onlinefurytrainings.com and get back to me for your suggestions, questions. You can also find the link for my website in the description of this video. Through the help of that, you can directly be redirected. And the course name, if you really come down, it is called SAP S/4HANA Extension with SAP Cloud Platform. That's the course name you can subscribe to. If you want or interested in more technical learning about basics of SAP UI5 Foundation with SAP Fiori on Web ID and XML view, Fiori enhancement, Fiori launchpad, configuration, security, Web IDE, all these things, or ABAP on HANA, CDS views, AMDPs, ADBCs, SQL scripting, then there are technical courses available on the website. You can always go ahead and subscribe to these courses based on your current need in the project. Thank you so much once again. It was a great, as usual, again, meeting all of you. With that,
Couple of
we are
questions,
done. Thank you so
Anubhav.
much and goodbye.